You're reeling in nightmarish catches from the abyss, all while desperately trying not to drown in your occupational hazards in deep regrets.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play Deep Regrets, game designed by Judson Cowan and published by Tettix Games.
And hi everyone, it's Stella.
And Tarrant, welcome to Meeple University.
And hey, if you enjoyed this video after watching, like, subscribe and comments. You know what to do. Alright, now let's get to the classroom.
In Deep Regrets, players are going on a 6-day fishing trip. This all seems straightforward enough. Visit the port to get the best equipment, head out into the ocean, and plumb the depths for the best fish. But in this ocean lies something more sinister, and the deeper you go, the fouler and more terrifying will be the fish you find. As the week goes on, the terrors you uncover may unlock regret and drive you into madness. But whether mad or not, you could still catch an impressive haul. Over the course of the game, whoever can best manage their regret and catch and mount the best haul of fish will be the winner. To set up, each player takes a player board and the 2 standard cards face up, which are the can of worms and the lifeboat. Take all the pieces in your colour. This will include 3 player dice, and yes, this is a fishing game, the luck of the dice will come into play, and these start in the spent box of your player board. Numbers on these dice are 2 1s, a 2 and a 3. This life ring is your money marker, place it at 0 money, and your other 2 pieces go on the other boards, with your madness tracker placed in its own column at the top of the madness board, and players' ships placed beside the briny deep board at depth 1. You'll set up this board by seeding it with shuffled decks of cards. In this top space goes the small dinks deck. Along the top row, shuffle up the depth 1 deck of fish cards, split it into 3 equal piles, and place 1 pile in each slot. Do the same at depths 2 and 3. At the port board, place the round marker, shuffled decks of rods, reels, and supply, and the cloth bag of tackle dice, which are all of these dice in the natural wooden colour. From the 60 regret cards, randomly take 10 per player and shuffle them into a deck which is placed here. Randomly choose a first player to take the first player marker and keep the lifesaver, omen die and fish coin nearby for later use. You're now ready to play. Deep Regrets is a game all about fishing. All of your points will come from fishing. You need to go out and fish, collect the best fish you can, and then convert them into either money or points. Almost everything in the game, what you can do and how you score, comes down to the fish you catch. And every time you catch a fish, it goes into your hand. Once it's there, there are 4 things you can do with them. For some fish, you can eat them. Discard the fish to gain the benefit printed on the card. Or you could sell them. Gain the money printed on the fish, and you'll be able to spend that money at port for helpful dice or items. You can simply hang on to the card in hand. Every fish you have in your hand at game's end is worth its money value in points. Or you can mount the fish as a trophy. At game's end, your prize catch trophy will be worth triple its points value, and your other 2 trophies worth double. The entire positive contribution to your final score will be these multiplied points from your trophies, the leftover points in your hand, and a point for every 2 leftover money. And as we go through the video, we'll take you through the various actions which let you fish, sell, mount, and more. However, throughout the course of your fishing, you're also going to have to manage madness and regret. And this mostly comes as you find foul fish lurking in the depths of the ocean. An effect showing this anchor icon forces 1 or more players to gain regret. And when this happens, you gain the top card from the regret deck, or from the regret discard if the deck is empty. Any regret you gain is collected face down in front of you. You can look at your own regret cards, but should keep them secret from the other players. Each regret card has a number on it between 0 and 3. And the sum of all numbers on your regret cards is equal to your regret value. Here, this player has a regret value of 4. Separately, the number of regret cards you hold, regardless of those cards' regret values, determines your madness, and at any time your madness marker should be in the row corresponding to the number of regret cards you hold. Madness and regret have different consequences. At any point during the game, your row on the madness board will impact some of your values and restrictions in play. For example, the madder you are, the more dice you'll get to hold. Meanwhile, your regret value comes into play only at the end of the game, as the player or players with the highest regret value at the end of the game will have to discard one trophy before final scoring. As such, balancing your personal levels of regret and madness throughout the game is an important part of your strategy. If an effect lets you discard regret throughout the game, then choose any regret card from your hand and put it face down on the regrets discard. Since it's always beneficial to discard your higher numbered cards, you can expect the discards to be much worse than the deck once you have to start drawing from there. If multiple players are to gain regret from the same action, do so from the first player, not the current player, and in turn order. And if you ever need to gain regret but both the deck and discard pile are empty, choose any one other player and steal a regret from them at random. So, now that we understand how to win, let's learn how to play. The game plays over a total of 6 rounds, and each round plays in 4 phases: start, refresh, declare, and actions. You'll skip the start phase in round 1. But in subsequent rounds you'll resolve it by advancing the round tracker, resolving the round tracker's effect, which comes into play from round 3 onwards, discarding any face-up fish on the C board, and this always means placing it into the graveyard of its matching depth, pass the first player marker 1 step clockwise, and if any player is at C at a depth of 2 or 3, move their ship marker 1 depth higher. Second is refresh, and this is where you'll re-roll your dice. At the start of the game, you'll just have 3 player dice in your spent section, but later on you'll have a mix of player and non-player dice split between your fresh and spent sections. To refresh, take all of your spent dice and any number of fresh dice of your choice. Roll all of those dice once, and add those refreshed dice to your fresh box until you reach the maximum dice limit for your current madness level. Any excess dice are moved to your spent box. Once everyone has refreshed, all players add up the sums of values on their fresh dice. The player with the highest value, with ties broken by whoever is earliest in current turn order, takes the life ring and gives it to any other player of their choice. The life ring helps out the player who has it in this round, and so you'll usually give it either to someone who rolled poorly or who is lagging behind the other players across the course of the game. The third step is declaration. In the current turn order, each player declares whether they will spend the day at sea or at port. A player who was at sea and is staying at sea leaves their ship wherever it was. The player who was at sea and is declaring at port moves their ship from the sea to the port, and you can do this from any depth. A player who was at port must declare at sea, you cannot be at port for 2 consecutive rounds, and moves the ship to depth 1 of the sea. Next, any players who have previously purchased any reels or rods from the port may choose at most 1 of each to equip for this round. You can choose different combinations to equip at the start of each round. Finally, any player who chose to make port in this round resolves the making port benefits. These are refresh worms, which means to flip your can of worms face up if it was face down. Then refresh any dice, which gives you another chance to re-roll and try to get better numbers, really trying to maximize what you've got for your next fishing trip. And finally, optionally, discard a regret. Finally, you'll move to the actions phase. Beginning with the first player and going clockwise around the table, players will take it in turns to take one action each. For players at sea, almost every one of these actions will be to fish. While for players at port, players will choose one action among the 3 available, visiting a shop, selling fish, or mounting fish. Players will take one action at a time round and round the table until they no longer have an action they wish to take, at which point they pass. On the turn when a player passes, that player immediately takes a passing bonus, which can either be to discard one random regret or to draw one dink. After that player passes, you'll continue taking turns around the board, and when it comes back to a player who has passed, that player takes another passing bonus, again either discarding a regret or drawing a dink. This process repeats every time play passes back to a player who has previously passed. Once there is only one player left who is yet to pass, this sets a clock to the end of the round. The other players will continue taking passing bonuses when play passes to them, while the player who is yet to pass can have at most 2 more turns. After that player has had the second of those turns, the round ends immediately with no further passing bonuses. And likewise, if that unpassed player chooses to pass with one of those 2 turns, the round ends without that player getting a passing bonus. So now let me feed you for a lifetime. When you take the fish action, the first thing you may optionally do is sail your ship 1 depth deeper. To do this, spend a single die of any number. And for this and any other action, if you spend a player die, it moves to your spent box. If you spend one of these wood-coloured tackle dice, you return it to the bag. Here I spent the 1 die so I can move to depth 2. You can do this multiple times per action if you wish. Then follow these 4 steps to fish: cast, trigger, pay, and catch. First is cast. Choose a single pile from among those at your depth or shallower. The card on top could be either face up or face down, depending on what's happened before. Before doing this, you may choose to spend your can of worms, flipping it over, to secretly look at the top card from any one pile, before returning it either to the top or to the bottom of the pile. Now, reveal the card you've cast to, unless it was already face up. You of course don't know exactly what you're going to find unless you've used a can of worms, but you can get some clues to how difficult that fish is going to be. Fish get more difficult to catch the deeper they are in the ocean, or the larger they are, and you do have a clue to how large a fish is going to be, because you can see a shadow faintly on the back of each of the cards. This shadow signifies a small fish, this one a mid fish, and this one a large fish, and you can see the distributions of difficulties on this player aid card. After casting, step 2 is trigger, and this occurs only if there is a reveal effect indicated by this icon on the card you chose, and you newly revealed the card this turn. Resolve that effect now, or for this turn only. For example, if you'd cast and revealed this card, you would have to re-roll one of your fresh dice, while this one makes it temporarily easier to catch this fish. Step 3 is pay. Spend dice from your fresh dice box so that the total value of what you've spent matches or exceeds the difficulty to catch that fish. Here the reveal effect reduced the difficulty to 2, so I would need to spend 2 points worth of dice to catch that fish. You can overpay the cost for a fish and won't get change. If these were the dice in my fresh pool, then to catch this for value of 2, I would still have to spend a 3. If you're unable to pay or you choose not to, then you simply do not pay. But that of course means that you will not catch. Finally, resolve the catch. If you did not pay, then spend any one die of any number to claim a dink as compensation. The uncaught fish remains on top of the deck for somebody else to claim later. If you did pay, then catch the fish by picking it up and adding it to your hand. If the newly caught fish has a catch ability indicated by this hook, then you must resolve that ability. Here it would be gaining 1 regret and peeking at 1 fish in the ocean. Throughout the fishing process, there's also several cards and other free actions which can help you. The rods and reels that you have equipped have passive abilities, generally which give you flexibility on the seas, or the ability to reduce the difficulty for certain fish. As a free action, you can discard a dink to gain its effect, or discard a supply item if you've previously bought one from the port. You could eat a fish from your hand for its effect. This one, for example, would let you increment 1 die by 2 value, potentially giving you what you would need to spend it. Or if you've been given the life ring this round, you can spend that as a once-off to reduce the difficulty by 2. It is possible to use these effects to reduce the difficulty of a fish down to or below 0, and if this happens, you simply don't spend any dice. However, you must have at least 1 fresh die to take the fish action. Once all your dice have been spent, you're not allowed to take any further fish actions, even if you're able to reduce the difficulty to 0. The supply of fish is limited, and if you ever fish the last one out of a pile, gain 1 regret as an overfishing penalty, and then that deck is no longer available for the rest of the game. On your turn at port, choose one of the 3 port actions to take, and these are visit a shop, sell fish, or mount fish. First is sell fish, and this is how you gain money. Choose any number of fish cards from your hand to sell, and sell them one at a time. You gain the money in the top left corner of the card, modified by the fair value or foul value modifier for your current level of madness. This, for example, is a fair fish, a standard value of 4, but with my current madness gets +1, so I would gain 5 coins. However, this is a foul fish, a standard value of 2, but with the modifier reduces to only 1, so I would gain 1 coin. Additionally, selling foul fish comes with regret. Every foul fish has this red regret icon under its value, and if you sell the fish, you must draw 1 regret. Adjust your madness value if appropriate, although this does not impact the sale price. Your price modifiers are based on your madness before drawing this regret. You can hold at most 10 money, and anything above 10 money is lost. Sold fish are discarded to the graveyard of the appropriate depth. The second action is visit a shop. There are 4 shops, rods, reels, supply, and dice, and you may visit each at most once per round. At the shop, you may make a single purchase. At rods and reels, for 1 money, you can simply buy the top card of the deck unseen. For 3 money, you can draw 3 cards, look at them, choose one you wish to keep, and shuffle the rest back into the deck. For 5 money, draw 5 cards, keep 2, and shuffle the other 3. At the supply shop, 1 money gets you the top card, 3 money lets you draw 3 and keep 2, and 5 money lets you draw 5 and keep 3. At the dice shop, draw 1, 2, or 3 dice randomly from the tackle bag. Roll them, and then add them to your fresh die box up to your maximum dice limit, placing the rest in spent. Blue dice are the weakest among these tackle dice, then green, then orange. You can get discounts in the shops by spending dinks or spending the life ring for a 2 discount as free actions. You also get a discount at all port shops if your madness is on the lowest track of the board. The proprietors are so scared of you, they'll do anything to get rid of you quickly. The last action at the port is to mount fish. Take any number of fish from your hand, up to of course the limit of the 3 mounting slots you have, and place fish into those slots. You can never unmount a fish once it's been placed there, and thus this will contribute to your final multiplier score. I mentioned before that if your ship is at sea, then almost every action you take is going to be to fish. The only exception to this is the abandon ship action, and you can do this at most once per game. To do this, flip your lifeboat card over. You can never flip this back, and it will add 10 to your final regret value. Just note this doesn't count as a regret card for the purposes of determining your madness. Now take your ship, move it to port, and resolve all of the make port actions as usual. For the rest of this round, you'll be taking port actions instead of sea actions. And as such, this can be a good, albeit expensive way, to squeeze in an extra visit to port across the 6 rounds without losing out on fishing time. Just be cautious and remember the end of round sequence, that if everyone else passes, you have at most 2 more actions. You may not get as many actions at port by abandoning ship as you would have on a full port round, and will have to go back out to sea next round. It may happen that by discarding regret, you end up holding more fresh dice than your maximum value. This is acceptable in the moment. The only time you check your maximum number of dice is when adding dice to the fresh box through refreshing or purchasing new dice. You never need to discard or spend down dice already there. I've made mention of how you can use Dink's items and the eat effects on fish as enhancements to the fish action or the shop action, but there are many others that you can simply use as a free action at any time. There's a couple of other icons that we haven't seen yet, including this one which lets you refresh dice. This would be discarding a card to refresh up to 2 dice. And there are some effects which require you to flip the fish coin when you resolve them, meaning you won't know for sure whether you'll get the positive or negative effect. Some cards that get flipped from the sea when fishing are event cards rather than fish cards. They will tell you to resolve them, discard them, and that it doesn't count as an action, letting you fish again on your turn. This specific card, the Amulet of Agartha, allows you to gain the powerful Omen die for the rest of the game. This behaves like a player die for the purposes of spending. You can choose to play the shorter 5-round game instead of the full 6-round game if you wish. If you do this, start from Tuesday, meaning the start of round bonuses will occur from round 2 onwards. Finally, the game has a set of living rules, and you should always check the errata online for the latest version. For example, and in particular, the Rod of the Infinite item, which was deemed overpowered, now requires you to spend a dink to resolve its effect. You should keep an eye out for any other tweaks which might have occurred since the game's release. At the start of the final round, all players get a free orange tackle die which they roll as part of their refresh, giving everyone a stronger final round. If there aren't enough for everyone to gain one, give everyone a green die instead, and if still not enough, give everyone a blue die. The game ends at the end of that final round, or immediately if the seaboard is ever completely empty of cards. Now count up your final scores. Each of your trophy fish is worth its value as modified by your final madness value and multiplied by the trophy slot. So here I have 7 plus 1 times 3 for 24. I have 7 plus 1 times 2 for 16. And I have 7 unmodified times 2 for 14. So a total there of 54. Then add the points on cards still in your hand, following the same approach. So here is a foul fish, 6 plus 1 is 7, and 2 unmodified fair fish, another 7, a total of 14, giving me 68. Add a point for every 2 leftover money, so here 3 points, a total of 71. Finally, it's time for your deep regrets to come back to haunt you. Add up the regret values on all of your regret cards, plus your lifeboat if you flipped it. Here my value is 22. The player or players with the highest regret value lose one of their mounted fish. In a 2-player game, this would be your lowest valued mounted fish. In a 3, 4 or 5-player game, it's your highest value fish. In this case, I lose 24 to drop my 71 to 47. The player with the highest score wins. If tied, lowest regret value breaks the tie, then fewest regret cards, and if still tied, victory is shared.
Well, my only deep regret is not getting this one for you as well. Bright, ugly sweatshirt.
Not quite my style.
So thanks for watching. If you like this video, maybe you'd like to watch this next one. Have a great day. Bye.